For those of you just joining us, good morning. In the spotlight, Dottie Lessard, my favorite athlete, and by the time this interview is over with, she'll be yours as well. Dottie is a 2-time transplant survivor. She's telling us the story of receiving the lungs of a mountain climber as a transplant 16 years ago. This is not the only transplant you've experienced. So let's jump forward to the next transplant experience, and then we'll update people on what you're doing now.
I lived an amazing life after that lung transplant. I actually got to do my dream and become an athlete. I ran for the very first time 7 months after my lung transplant. I ran outside and I actually ran down to my mother's grave. She had passed away a few months after my lung transplant. She wanted to live long enough to see me get my lungs, and she did that, and she passed away from cancer. And I went on to run in the transplant Olympics and win several gold medals. However, in 2001, I started getting bad headaches and high blood pressure, and they realized that I was in kidney failure. So again, I needed a transplant, and it was worse this time, I think, because I knew what it felt like to truly live life, and it was snatched away again. And I also asked myself, do I have a right to ask for another chance, another organ, when so many haven't even gotten one? But I realized that I have lived my life with meaning and purpose and giving back. And I promised myself that I would continue to do that in a stronger way.
So you received a kidney.
I did. I received a kidney in 2002, and I went on the donor list. I was so sick, dialysis did not work for me. I had 40 pounds of extra fluid on me. I was probably weeks away from dying when I did get my transplant. And what happened was a good friend of mine who had met me at the Transplant Olympics had seen me on TV running with the Olympic torch. Well, I didn't run with it. That's the sad thing. I barely could carry it, the 0.2 of a mile, this titanium light torch. But I forced myself to do it that day because I felt like if I gave up, then others would give up. So I ran that day, and what happened from doing that is this woman had seen me on TV and didn't even recognize me. And she immediately called and she said, I want to see if I'm a match. Well, she wasn't a match for me. She was a perfect match for a single father with 2 little girls, and she did the donor exchange program where she donated to him, and I took his place on the list, not knowing if I would ever get my transplant, but 5 days later, I did receive my kidney.
You know, it's really hard for me to sit across from you and not cry when I hear your story. We've got flowers here at the radio station for you today because it's such a special day. And if you go to the website for Magic, and you go under my name, it says favorite athlete, and it has your name there. I don't know what else to say except that Gay and I get a chance to talk to the most incredible women every single week. And we just take a piece of you with us wherever we go. Your story touched my heart so much 5 years ago. And then we were honored to give you our Trailblazer Award for Exceptional Women. And here we are now, and you are the author of an incredible book. It's called 7 Letters That Saved My Life, 7 Principles That Made It Happen, available at Amazon.com. Tell me about the inspiration for this book. It's really your life story, and I'm thinking that the 7 letters are?
The 7 letters are athlete, and they each have a certain meaning. A is aspire to a purpose. T is tackle your fears and move forward. H is harmony on the inside, creates results on the outside. L, live an extraordinary life for yourself. E, enrich your life by appreciating your own unique gifts. T, trust in a higher power. And E, encourage yourself and others to do great things. And I'm so proud of this book. It's taken me so long to write the perfect book, and this truly is. I had started writing an autobiography back in 1998. It had stopped and started again several times. Yet, it never really felt right. I really wanted to give something back to the audience and to the reader because I feel that's what my purpose is here, to help others find their own 7 letters or their own purpose in life, to believe that they can make it happen. And so this book is part my life story. I've used little pieces of my life story, but it's also motivational quotes and sort of like a guidebook with principles that I've led my life with and showing how those principles helped me get through certain things. So I guess it's part autobiography and part guidebook, and I feel like anyone who reads this, whether it's a mom of a child with CF or health obstacle, or someone dealing with their own health obstacle or life obstacle, or the businessman that put their athletic clothes away a long time ago that always dreams of doing it again. It's for anyone really that wants to really become more of what they dream. It's me. I can honestly say that it's truthful and it's the core of me and why I believe I'm here, and it's dedicated to my son, so I'm very proud of that.
We'll talk about Liam for a while. What's mother love? He's 6 years old now.
I believe first and foremost that I was saved for him. He completes me, and it could just take a little smile or just hearing him say, Mama, and I know that the world is okay and everything is going to be okay. He is my fuel. He's my everything. He really is like me, so.
I know today when you finish this interview with me, you're heading home, you're going to pick him up from school, and then where do you go?
First, I'm going to go into his school. He's very excited about this. Mama is going to read a Halloween book to his class. And then we're going to leave school, and we are going to climb a mountain. We're going to go get our yellow rose, and I'm going to take a yellow flower out of the flowers that you guys have given me, and we're going to place that on top of a mountain. We're not going to do too big of a mountain today because, Liam's 6.5, but we are going to climb a mountain for my donor. Liam understands that Mama has special lungs, so we're just going to kind of do that together today.
When your publisher handed your book to you, and there it was, hard copy, your name on it, how did that feel?
It felt amazing. It felt like I finally have my legacy written down in black and white. And I can remember I got an envelope and I had 2 copies in it. The first 1 and 2 prints, and the first print went to my son. And I can remember him coming home from kindergarten, and I sat down with him in his room, and I said, Liam, look, Mommy's book is here. And we sat down, and I opened it, and I showed him the dedication, and he recognized his name. And I said, whose name is that? He said, me, Mama. And I read the dedication to him. And he put his arm around me and said, Mama, you famous now. And it was the most precious moment, and his face was beaming with pride. And then I got to hand the next one to my dad. So it's kind of like, son, father.
Let's talk about the athlete part of you for one moment so that you can share your experience as a competitor. You've won very big in many competitions, world-class competitions in the U.S. Transplant Games. Tell us about competing, your training, your mindset.
I think I've learned over the years, and I've grown as an athlete over the years. And I think today I say that the mindset is the most important thing. Regardless of what shape your body is in, you have to have a strong mindset and a determination and see your end picture, what it is that you're working for, what it is that you want to become. I feel I was blessed because I love competing. When I compete, it's my true celebration of life and true celebration of health. Not only giving back to others, but just that feeling of joy that I get inside. And I think as an athlete, you have to kind of combine all of that, the strength of your body and the strength of your mind. You have to take care of yourself. You have to eat right. And you do have to be committed to training. Right now, I do a specific kind of training called Evo Sport. It's difficult and it's challenging, but it's extremely rewarding. And I feel like an athlete needs to be complete. By being complete is you have to take your physical, your spiritual, your emotional, all of that into consideration. And I always tell kids that I coach and work with, and even adults, when you have the hard days, when you get injured, when you lose a race, that is a learning experience. You gain knowledge from that you can't get anywhere else. And that completes you more as an athlete.
I know over the years since you've been sharing your story, particularly with children who have CF, they have pictures of you on their wall.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It's amazing. It's soul-touching, I would say. I remember the first time that I actually got it, when I realized being an athlete wasn't important to me just for myself, and why that desire to still compete and to be this athlete that's seen, why it's so important. I was racing, I think it was the 2000 Olympics, and I had run the 100 meters and I won. I'm trying to get my breath right after, and I wasn't really paying attention. All of a sudden, this thing ran into me and almost knocked me down. And I looked down, and this little bit of a boy was there, and I just immediately picked him up, and he wrapped his arms around me so tight. And a couple of seconds later, his mother came running saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. He just took off out of my arms when he saw you." And there was this little boy named Cullen, and he had had a liver transplant, and he was 5.5 years old. And it was at that moment I realized that I'm doing this to show all these kids that they can do whatever they want to. And seeing his face and the pride that he had, that I had the same thing as him, really enforced in me that this is something that I need to do.